Friendship War, Chapter 11, Fashion and Power. When I get to homeroom and look around, buttons are everywhere. But this is not like the wild scene on the bus because our teacher is sitting at her desk, typing on her laptop, and even before the day officially begins, Mrs. Lang expects everyone to be well behaved and orderly. Still, there are several pockets of intense activity. And who's in the middle of the action? Ellie, which doesn't surprise me. When Ellie sees me, she waits for me to come over, a huge smile on her face. She's wearing her new button bracelet for the second day in a row. Guess what? A lot of kids asked me about my bracelet yesterday, so I made some more last night. Again, not a surprise. First, I sorted all my buttons. That big batch my mom gave me, I did colors and then size. I love this first bracelet, but I used up way too many buttons, so I had to figure out how to make them last. And look, I made 5 of these. She hands me a piece of thin red ribbon. It's about a half an inch wide, 6 inches long, and it's made of cloth, like hair ribbon. 8 small white buttons are sewn onto it, spaced evenly along the length. At one end of the ribbon, there's a short loop of heavy white thread. You put it on this way, see? Ellie wraps the ribbon around my wrist and then fastens it by putting the last button on one end through the white loop on the other. Now, I'm wearing a red ribbon button bracelet. Ellie's sewing isn't going to win any prizes, but this bracelet, it's sweet and simple and very cute. She helps me take it off my wrist. As she helps me take it off my wrist, she keeps talking. So I decided that my goal for today is to trade my bracelets for as many really big buttons as I can get. And so far, I've got these 7, with 3 bracelets still left to trade. Pretty good, huh? She holds out her hand and shows me 7 gorgeous buttons, each about the size of the green ones I got on the bus. 3 of them are made from some kind of pale blue seashell. 1 is bright orange plastic, 2 are speckled like a brownish bird's egg, and the last button looks like it's made of pale yellow glasses with bubbles in it. But it's plastic. So, Ellie's plan? It's working really, really well. But she's not the only one with the ideas, because this morning, buttons are the new fashion accessory. Following Ellie's lead, 5 other girls had some kind of button bracelet. I think Ellie's new one is still the best. 3 girls have a fancy button or 2 strung onto a cord or a chain and worn as a necklace. One girl has sewn a bright yellow button onto each loop of her jeans. And Taylor, she's got a little blue button on each of her white sneakers, sewn onto the laces somehow and centered about halfway up. It's an interesting look. In the back corner, 4 boys have these strange bunches of buttons hanging from their belts. But I wouldn't call it fashion, more like advertising. And it's working because I walk right over for a closer look. Hey, Cody, can I check out that bunch of black buttons? And I point at a group on his left hip. Sure. He has to pull off about 3 other bunches of buttons to get to the one I asked about, which is when I see what's holding them all in place. One of those extra big paper clips, bent into a sort of S shape. Clever. I do a quick count, and there's 10 buttons in this bunch, and in the other bunches too. And instead of stringing each bunch together with thread, Cody used a piece of thin wire. How come you put 10 buttons in each bunch? The wire is from those twist ties that comes on bread and stuff, and 10 is about all the buttons you can fit and still have room to twist the tie and the wire shut into a loop. So who's got the idea to use the twist ties and the big paper clips? I don't know, all the guys are doing it. It just happened. Of course that's not true. Nothing just happens, but it might already be too late to figure out who did the twisty clip thing first. But it's not like I'm studying some precise experiment in a tidy science lab. This buttons phenomenon has turned into a giant, sloppy, uncontrollable creature that's galloping through the school. I hand Cody in his button bunch, and he clips it back onto a belt loop and walks over to talk with Kevin and Noah. Altogether, these guys have at least 15 button clumps hanging at their waists. As I watch, they pull some off and begin comparing and arguing. I've got 8 minutes before the bell, and I sit down at my desk and open a notebook. I need to record some of my observations while they're still fresh in my mind. But out of the corner of my eye, I see Brooke bursting into the room, and she makes a beeline for Ellie and then holds out her hand. So I drop my pencil and hurry over. Brooke has a beautiful button. It might be the prettiest one I've ever seen. The plastic is sort of soft, creamy, yellowish color, and it's about an inch and a half in diameter. Big, but not too big. There are no holes through the button, just one small metal loop on the back. And the best part, cut into the face of the button, there's a pinwheel with lines that swirl out from the center, at least a dozen. And each group of the design is stained a rich dark blue color. The button looks old, but it's not worn or damaged. The size, the smooth rounded face, the pinwheel design, the strong contrast of the creamy color with the deep blue lines, it's the kind of button that makes you say, I want it. And I know that is exactly what Ellie is thinking, even though she's trying not to show it. Brooke is supposed to believe that Ellie gets to decide what happens next, because that's how it usually is. Ellie's the boss. Except, who owns that beautiful button? Brooke. So for the moment, she's in charge, even if she doesn't know it. In a weird kind of way, with that particular button in her hand, Brooke might be the most powerful kid in the room. In fact, that pretty pinwheel button might be more powerful than science itself, even more powerful than common sense. Because at this very moment, I can't help it. I feel like I have to get that button. Yeah.